Us tonight from Buffalo. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Liz.
I want to start by talking to you about this mosque that has gotten a lot of attention. And just today, your running mate, former New York City Council Minority Leader Tom Ognemeni, is giving a very strongly worded testimony before the Landmarks Commission. He actually says this mosque is illegal. Could you expand on that, please?
Yes. You probably read about the Port Authority, PBA, coming out and saying this should not be a political issue.
I did.
But nevertheless, Andrew Cuomo and Bloomberg have come out and said that it's freedom of religion and it shouldn't be touched, or the issue shouldn't be touched, and they should let it proceed. Lazio's come out and asked for an investigation. We don't agree with that either. We think time for investigation is over. It's time to put this thing to an end, and there's a vehicle to do that if our elected officials would just stand up for the people. Our people have been maligned in the past. I characterize this as sort of the same situation as we had with Pearl Harbor. Would we allow a Japanese temple to be built next to the USS Arizona? I don't think so. Well, at 9/11 we lost over 3,000 Americans, and in the ensuing wars we lost thousands and thousands of Americans. And the affront to the American people is without question something that our elected officials are charged with protecting. And they're charged with protecting the people and properly honoring our servicemen.
Now, Carl,
and the people that died there.
Actually, in the statement, though, that Tom Ognemeni is giving today in Manhattan, he says that it's possible that this mosque and the $100,000 that is going to be provided to build it is a violation of the Patriot Act, and in which case it would be illegal.
Yes.
You believe that?
If the money is coming from offshore. I think the U.S. Attorney has an obligation, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District has an obligation to look into the source of that money and make a determination as to whether it is in violation, whether those funds are in violation of the Patriot Act. If the funds are coming from those that believe in Sharia law, you saw recently that Sharia law would be ostracized and is not acceptable to the many treaties that the United States has. As a result, it would be a violation of the Patriot Act for us in any way to allow those who believe in Sharia law to fund this mosque.
So the U.S. Attorney, then, you think that the U.S. Attorney should investigate this, not Andrew Cuomo, because it's actually a federal issue and not a state issue. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's a federal issue, and that should be investigated by the U.S. Attorney. At the same time, our Senators Gillibrand and Schumer and the representatives from Manhattan should be filing bills in Congress, bills that would declare the Ground Zero as a national monument.
But you say
Yes.
You're saying actually that you think it's inappropriate, that you agree with the PBA president that it's inappropriate for this to become a political football, and yet by calling on the feds to investigate this, aren't you just taking it up a notch and making this an even bigger political football, if you will?
I'm only getting involved right now because these other two guys got involved.
I see.
They came out with their statements, and I think their statements are improper in both cases. I think Andrew Cuomo is trying to duck a very important issue to the American people. He came out and he had a statement to make, so I'm making a statement in response. Andrew, grow up. Understand what the responsibilities are of elected officials and do the right thing for the American people.
So what does that mean? I'm unclear. What does that mean? He said this is a freedom of religion issue, and therefore the mosque should have a right to be built. Now it's 600 feet away from Ground Zero, not immediately on Ground Zero, but right near it. He says let it happen. Mayor Bloomberg says let it happen.
Of course they did, because they're trying to duck it. They don't want it to become an issue in an election year. And I'm saying no. This mosque should not be built in proximity to Ground Zero under any conditions. It's an affront to the families of the people that were lost in the World Trade Center, and it's an affront to all those soldiers that were maimed or killed in the ensuing wars. That is an affront. This is no different than the USS Arizona at Pearl Harbor.
Now, you actually won't have an attempt, an opportunity to bring this fight to Andrew Cuomo or to Rick Lazio, who started this in the governor's race, or to anybody else, unless you manage to get onto the ballot. You're going to be filing petitions on Thursday. That's the deadline. Can you tell us yet how many names you've managed to collect? Because at one point it seemed like you might be having difficulty with that.
No, that was all taken out of context. It was a statement made by a small group of volunteers. It had nothing to do with our overall collection effort, and I think I like the suspense.
You like the suspense?
We got them all guessing.
I don't like the suspense.
Yeah.
So tell us.
Let them keep guessing, Liz.
Okay, but do you believe then that you have sufficient number of signatures? I mean, you're talking about 15,000 signatures, just the threshold, and I'm sure that everyone will go over them with a fine-tooth comb to make sure, you know, you've dotted every I and crossed every T.
I hope they spend all their time doing so. That's okay with me.
Okay, so you're not going to tell us how many names?
No, we have plenty of names.
Okay.
Yes.
What about, I heard earlier this week that you spoke to other reporters about fundraising. That's another issue that's going on. The deadline is also on Thursday. It's like a bonanza week for politics here this week. Are you, you didn't actually manage to raise very much money, and you've spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million already?
I haven't tried. No. I came out originally and I told all of our followers and the people with us that I would not ask them to support this effort. I would not go out and fundraise until after we had a position on the ballot. And that'll happen as of the 15th of the month, and after that we have scheduled fundraisers.
But you've sent
There's only been one scheduled fundraiser among a group of my friends that took in approximately a little bit over $100,000. People have been sending us money, and we're very, very appreciative of that.
Well, they're sending you money.
Self-funded.
They're sending you money because you sent out at least 1 or 2 email appeals. I mean, that's fundraising, is it not? I remember them. I wrote about them. You sent out appeals saying you were angry and wanted money.